Though there aren't too many people that I've met through Twitter that I can call a friend, Ashley is one of them. About a year and a half ago, I met her through a mutual friend on Twitter. We started tweeting back and forth, and eventually we became real cool with each other. One of the neat things about both of us is that we both live in the same state. While the distance between us is considerably large, at one point I decided it'd be cool enough that I'd take a trip down to where she lives and meet her. I took all the necessary things that I needed to do at work to take time off and a few personal things as well. So one day, a few hours before I would have gone off work, I left on my trip to go visit her. It all started out okay. I managed to make it through Austin, Waco, San Antonio, and some other places south of that. At one point, long after the sun has went down, I made a real big mistake and missed the exit that I was supposed to get to head down to her, and I had to double back and get back on the right track. This was mistake number one. Since majority of the road up to this point had been pretty void of any traffic or life, I figured I'd do a little bit of speeding right then. Not the go 70 in a 60 zone, but go 105, 110 in a 60 zone. That was my second mistake. My job required that I be to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I had to be up around 5:30 to get ready and then catch the bus from my house. At that point, it was between 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm about an hour or so away from making it to where she lives. Having been up for 24 hours and nodding my head off, I was still going about 80, 95 miles an hour, which was still speeding. That was my third mistake. Usually when you tempt fate enough times, it eventually catches up with you and it doesn't always act friendly. This was one of those moments. So as I'm still going about 20 or so miles over the speed limit in the dark, I'm nodding off to sleep while I've been up for almost 24 consecutive hours. At that moment, fate decided it was a good enough time for me to pay for my bad choices. I started to nod my head again, and slowly I turned the steering wheel to the left and make the car move over the bumps on the side of the road. This jars me wide awake, and I do the one thing that everyone does when they're distracted and are brought back to reality. I overcorrect the steering wheel. As I'm going off the road at no less than 75, 80 miles an hour, I spin the car either once or 180 degrees and end up with the rear of my car hanging in some bamboo-like trees in the area. Sometimes when people wreck their cars, they flip it. Lucky enough for me, I didn't, and I managed to survive because the ground around in that area was very loose and fine sand. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have made it out alive, much less made it back here at home. The only thing that ended up being wrong with me was when I got out, I scratched myself on some of the branches and I had a really bruised ego. My car, on the other hand, wasn't as lucky. However, from this situation, there was one good thing and one bad thing. The sheriff was just nice enough to not write me a ticket for the wreck and gave me a very stern warning. The bad thing was that because my car was damaged enough and it was in a remote enough area of the state and I didn't have enough money, I ended up having to sign the title and the car over to the towing company because I had no way to retrieve it for myself. Beyond coming back alive and in one piece, I brought back memories of both the nice countryside and a really bad wreck. So in closing, let me give you these few warnings. If you plan on driving for a very long trip and you are very tired, stop. It doesn't matter where you are, just pull over the side of the road and either take a 20-30 minute nap with alarm set or just sleep overnight to where you can have a reasonable amount of sleep. Speed limits are made for a reason. Even though there might be times when you're the only person on the road and you want to go 100 miles an hour because it'll get you somewhere faster, it isn't worth going faster in the event that you'll be able to lose your life. I didn't heed my sister's advice that she gave me that night and I paid for it dearly. Don't do what I did and look stupid as fucking hell. Now, the following pictures are actual pictures that the sheriff took from my wrecked car.